Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I have been seeing a lot of people doing the SUMMERWEEN readathons lately. I've seen a lot of videos on that. I don't know exactly when SUMMERWEEN is supposed to happen. I think people do it kind of all throughout the summer, honestly. But I got inspired because I've been seeing all these videos, and also I started reading a thriller mystery book yesterday, and I was just thinking, I had a couple sort of thrillers on my TBR that I wanted to read sometime over the summer, so I thought I would make my own sort of SUMMERWEEN reading vlog. Now, I know a lot of people end up going and doing a bunch of sort of Halloween themed things. Sometimes they decorate or they go and look for Halloween decor or whatever. I'm probably not going to do that because I don't really decorate for seasonal things other than maybe Christmas sometimes, and even then it all depends on what we've got going on. If we're not going to be home a bunch during the holidays, then it doesn't really make sense to decorate. But anyways, I digress. So that's my plan. I have chosen 4 books that I'd like to read over the next week. It's Monday. I don't have a lot of plans for this week or this weekend, so I hope I can get through at least a few of these books, if not all of them. I make no promises though, because every time I make a promise that I'm gonna read a certain amount of books in a certain time frame, it just never ends up happening. So I may read one book, I may read all 4. I may read somewhere in between. I don't know yet. But the book that I started yesterday, and the first book in this reading vlog, is Tell Me What You Did by Carter Wilson. From what I understand, this is basically about a girl who has a true crime podcast, and she has people come on her show either anonymously, or if they want to announce who they are, they can do that as well, which would be kind of silly, but they are on this podcast getting interviewed by her, and they're telling a story of some sort of crime that they've committed. And she never guarantees that the police won't come after these guests on her podcast, but it's totally up to them how much they want to divulge and if they want to tell the listeners their real name or anything like that. And she also has total control over whether she thinks she needs to contact the police or anything like that. And basically, it's just a podcast for people who want acknowledgement for the crimes that they've committed, but they also want to stay anonymous. So it gives them kind of this like instant fame. And so the main character, Poe, normally once she films these podcasts and releases them, she deletes all the footage, she deletes the criminal from her mind and tries to forget all about them. Until she has one guest on her show who seems oddly familiar, and he claims that he is Poe's mother's murderer, which is a little bit weird because Poe's mother's murderer is dead. Why do we know that? Because Poe killed him. And none of that is a spoiler. It's literally all on the back of the book. So like I said, I started this yesterday. I'm not very far in. I'm still on chapter 4, which is like 15 pages in. So haven't made it very far. Planning on reading a decent amount of it today. I have no thoughts thus far. It just seems like a super interesting premise. I don't even know where I heard about this book from, honestly. I can't remember. All I know is that I haven't heard anyone else talking about it except for whoever I got the recommendation from in the first place. And I don't even know who that was. So I don't want to say I have high hopes, because I have high hopes in the sense that like I really want to have a good thriller read, but I don't have high hopes in the sense that I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I don't know this author. I haven't heard anyone talking about it. So I have high hopes, but 0 expectations, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that's the first one that I'm going to continue reading. And then I have two books on my Kindle that I'd like to read. The first one is That's Not My Name by Megan Lally, which I've also seen quite a few people talking about, and it has really good ratings on Goodreads, so I feel like that's probably going to be the next one that I start after I finish this book. Again, I don't really know what that one is even about. I've just heard a bunch of people talking about it recently, and like I said, the ratings on Goodreads speak for themselves. The other book that I have on my Kindle that I would like to get to is A Dowry of Blood, which is, I think it's sort of a Dracula retelling from what I understand. I know Katie is reading really enjoyed it, and I think I've seen one or two other people talking about it being a really good book. So I have that one on my Kindle that I like to get to as well. And if I miraculously happen to finish all three of those books before the week is over, I would also like to pick up Twilight. Because how do you have Summerween without reading one of the Twilight books? And this has been on my TBR. I mean, I've read the books before and obviously watched the movies and stuff, but since I got these beautiful editions, I have not reread them, and I've had them on my TBR since the beginning of the year, since I got this set for Christmas, and I wanted to go through and actually annotate the crap out of these books. So if I finish all the other ones, then I will start my Twilight reread. So that is my plan for the week. We'll see how it ends up going, because honestly, I feel like I've been filming a lot and then throwing them in the trash. So I'm excited for all these books, so I hope that this turns out how I want it to. Hello friends, so it is Tuesday evening, about 8:30, and I just finished reading Tell Me What You Did. I really enjoyed this. I think I'm gonna end up giving it a 4-star. The only reason I couldn't give it a 5-star was because I felt like the ending was just a little bit rushed, and it felt just slightly anticlimactic, honestly. The first 90% of the book was really, really good. I think if it had just a slightly more climactic or a slightly more interesting ending, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. But even so, 4-star, especially for thrillers, that's pretty good in my books, because thrillers can really be, for me at least, they're either top tier 5-star or they're a flop. I really liked this one. I think the premise of it was very interesting, and I've read a few sort of podcast style thrillers before, and I do like the style that they tend to be in. But the way that this one was done was different than anything that I've read before that's similar. Something else I found interesting, let's see if I can find one of the pages here. There was a few, here it is. There was a few pages that had a little QR code in it, if you obviously have the physical book. And if you scan the QR code on your phone, it takes you to a video of like what the last page or so of the book was kind of talking about. And there was only a few of them in the book. Like, it wasn't like it was after every part or after a certain amount of chapters or anything. There was only, I might have missed one because I was listening to the audiobook. Yeah, there was maybe like 3 of them, I think. But so it was kind of random, but kind of interesting. It made the book kind of like a multimedia thing because you scan the QR code on your actual phone in real life and you get, I don't know who created it, whether it was the author that decided to do this or the publishers or what, but there was an actual like curated little video that goes along with the book, which is really interesting. You don't have to watch the videos to understand the book at all, but I just thought it was super interesting. So yeah, 4 stars for that book. I really liked it. I'd heard, well, not heard because I hadn't really heard anyone talking about this book, but I did look it up on Goodreads and I saw kind of mixed reviews on it, which I understand. I understand why some people would not like this book at all, but I enjoy thrillers that are just like entertaining, and if they have a super big plot twist or something, that's just a bonus. I wouldn't say that this one had any major plot twists necessarily, but I also wouldn't say that I could 100% guess how it was going to end. It just wasn't like, when the plot twist came, it wasn't like a huge shock. I wasn't like, oh my god, no way. But on that note, like I said, it's like 8:30. I think I kind of just want to like chill out for the rest of the night. But tomorrow I'm going to pick up the next book, which I think I'm going to do, what were my options that I was talking about? Oh yeah, Dowry of Blood or That's Not My Name. I think tomorrow I'm going to start That's Not My Name, and that's on my Kindle. So I already have the audiobook for that one queued up on Libby as well. So I will check back with you guys tomorrow when I start the next book. Good morning, friends. I am just about to make myself some peppermint tea in my special little bunny rabbit mug. I'm also feeling a little bit hungry this morning, so I might make myself some toast here in a minute. But I did pretty much just wake up like an hour ago, but I didn't really get out of bed until like half an hour ago. But I am just starting my work day, so I'm getting myself ready with my tea. But I knew I wanted to make my peppermint tea, and I always put honey in my peppermint tea, and I wanted to show you guys this honey that I got when I was on the island for my brother's wedding. I got it from the Shelter Point whiskey distillery, actually. They kind of like partnered with these honey makers, also from the island. This honey in particular was made using old whiskey barrels from the distillery. So they kind of like swapped barrels, I guess. They took honey barrels and used it to age the whiskey at the distillery, and then the distillery gave the honey makers whiskey barrels. So the honey kind of has a bit of like a whiskey flavor to it, which is really interesting, but that's what I'm going to be using in my peppermint tea this morning. I don't use a lot, maybe just like, I don't know how much that is. A teaspoon probably. Not like a heaping spoonful, but I don't know, somewhere around there. Just adds a little bit of sweetness. So yeah, that's kind of my peppermint tea routine in the morning when I have peppermint tea. But other than that, like I said, I'm probably going to make myself a little bit of toast here in a minute. And then I'm going to get to work. I have a couple kind of more important things I need to get done right away this morning, like for work. And then I'll probably start reading the next book. But yeah, I just wanted to pop on and say hello and good morning. And I guess I'll talk to you guys later today. I just hit the 85% mark in That's Not My Name. The plot twist has twisted. I'm gonna try to do this without giving away too much. Hold on. Okay, sorry, I just had to answer a phone call. Yeah, I'm gonna try to explain this in a way that I don't want to give anything away. But basically, I've had a couple questions and concerns, if you will, with like the timeline of this book and just things I was noticing that I was like, wait, how is this gonna end up lining up? And this plot twist that has now come about has explained the things that I was confused about and why it wasn't making sense in my head, and the things that I was like angry about. And really, like, honestly, now that I've processed this plot twist, I should have guessed that this was going to happen. And maybe it's just because I haven't been reading as many like thrillers like this recently, because I feel like if I had been, I might have been able to clue in a little bit sooner. Like, I'm actually kind of upset with myself for not figuring out that this was gonna happen. But oh my god. Ooh. I really don't know what's gonna happen in the last like 15% of the book here. Libby says I have like half an hour left of the audiobook. So I'm gonna sit here and finish reading it. I don't know what else to say. I guess I understand the hype around this book. I understand why it has become super popular and well reviewed. Because wow, it's been a while since a plot twist has actually hit me that hard, which again, like, I'm kind of upset that it hit me that hard, because I was sitting here and I was reading and my jaw just dropped. Like, I was like, there's no way. I'm upset with myself that I didn't figure it out. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and finish reading this right now, and we'll talk about it. Well, I'm done. Oh, man. That was a good book. That was probably one of the better thrillers that I've read in a while. I mentioned it before, but I feel like, at least for me, thrillers are kind of hit and miss. They're either like 5-star, one of the best thrillers I've ever read, or they're like meh, 3-star. I wasn't sure if I wanted to rate this book 4 or 5 stars, but the more I think about it, I think I have to give it 5 stars, honestly. Because, like, even throughout reading it, there was things that I was like, ugh, this makes me so angry. Like, why is this happening? Why are these people like this? But that, at the end of the book, is also addressed. Like, it's not just me that felt that way, even the characters in the book felt that way. And I feel like that made it kind of all come full circle. Like, it didn't really feel like there was any loose threads left that needed to be tidied up. Everything felt like it concluded very well. And all the little things that I thought throughout the book made sense and were addressed, which I feel like can be very rare in thrillers. Just based on the fact that it made me feel things, it made me feel anger, it made me feel sad, it made me like it. I wanted to keep turning the page, I wanted to keep reading it, which I haven't had that feeling in a while either with any books that I've been reading lately. It had me on the edge of my seat. Like, it had everything that I like in a thriller book. And it was one of those thrillers that I was like, yes, this is why I love this genre so much. So I think just based on that, I have to give it 5 stars. On that note, it's quite a bit earlier when I said I had like half an hour left of the book. I then got busy doing work stuff, so it's just about 3 o'clock now, so I have about an hour and a bit left of my work day, and then I probably will start A Dowry of Blood at some point this evening. I don't think it's very long. I have the audiobook for that one as well, and the audiobook without any time adjustments I think is only like 5 hours. Let me just see here. Yeah, it says 5 hours and 8 minutes without being sped up or anything, so I don't think that one will take me very long to read at all. I think it's only like 200 and something pages as well. And then once I finish that one, we'll get started with my Twilight reread, which I feel like will just be a wonderful way to end my Summerween sort of vlog. Hello friends, good morning. Couple updates. First one, I think I'm getting sick. Throat feels a little bit icky and my nose feels a little bit stuffy, so either I'm getting sick or actually I know a lot of people have been saying their allergies this year have been absolutely horrendous, so maybe I have allergies. I don't know. I've never had seasonal allergies before, so either way, that's how I'm feeling. But also, I did end up finishing A Dowry of Blood. I finished it in like a single day because it was quite short and super quick to read. It was quite fast-paced. I didn't really know what I was getting into, honestly. Like, I knew that it was about basically Dracula's wife, and it was written from her perspective, but other than that, I didn't really know what the premise was. And it was interesting because it was basically written in a way that was almost like one big long letter from Dracula's wife to him, and it basically outlined everything that she was feeling from the moment that he turned her over the course of their 500 years together and ending with her killing him. And it was honestly really interesting. I liked it. It was fast-paced, but there were a few times where I felt like the story was just dragging a little bit. Like I wasn't super interested. I think I was able to finish it so quickly just because it was relatively fast-paced and quite a short book. But otherwise, I wouldn't say that it was necessarily like page-turning. I went kind of through phases with it. There were parts that I was like, oh yeah, I really like this. And then there was parts that I was like, okay, let's move along. I'm getting a little bit bored. So I ended up giving it 3 stars. I was kind of going back and forth between 3 or 4 stars, but I think I landed on 3 stars because I enjoyed my time reading it, but I don't think that I will think about it all that much now that I am done reading it. So that is how I feel about that. And then aside from that, I did end up starting Twilight. I didn't get very far into it. I'm only on chapter 2, which is like 24 pages in. But I'm going to be taking my time reading this one a little bit. Like I said, I want to annotate it a ton, so this one's going to be a bit of a slower read. We have gotten to the end of this week, which means that we have reached the end of my kind of Summerween vlog. On that note, I think I'm going to end this video here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.